Hey, back with another one. Like the other one. The 50 Cent Ja Rule thing. Y'all already know. Ja Rule goes to Breakfast Club. Y'all know how Charlemagne is, man. He gonna ask the questions. He gonna say the stuff that people want to ask or want to say. And, get you to jump in that water, man. You can either nicely decline, whatever, you know what I'm saying? But Charlemagne is gonna ask those questions. And if it's up to you if you gonna answer it. And a lot of people like to get mad at the people who's asking the questions or whatever, man. They just doing their job, man. I understand when guys get mad when they be like, listen, before we go on this interview or whatever, let's keep certain stuff away, or let's not speak on this, let's not speak on that. And I can understand when you feel like you got a relationship with some of these guys and they still ask you questions either about your personal life or, silly stuff about beefs and, you know what I'm saying? So that's understandable. But it can't be a Ja Rule interview, especially not on the Breakfast Club and Charlemagne is there. And Envy. And they don't ask about 50 Cent. So Charlemagne brought up the situation between 50 Cent and Irv Gotti. He said, man, I got your partner in the runts right now. You know what I'm saying? Or I think he might have mentioned I'm smoking on that Irv Gotti pack. Now, this is the thing about that, man. A lot of people like to say 50 Cent is petty. He's petty. He's petty. He's petty. Is he? So what? At times, yeah. He just one of them dudes, man. Couple $100 million ain't gonna change him from being that guy that was hungry when he first came in the game. But speaking on Ja Rule, Irv Gotti, those guys, you know what I'm saying? Y'all know they ran with Supreme Team, whatever, you know what I'm saying? It'll never be over if somebody try to take, try to take me out. It'll never be over. We ain't gonna forget that because we up a couple hundred M's, you know what I'm saying? Is we pressing the issue far as when I see him, I'm gonna do something to him? Likely, nah. I might want to swing on him or something like that, but get him out of here, nah, I ain't tripping off of that. But if somebody was to get him gone, I'm not finna make the fake post like, I care about that person or whatever. And that's all 50 Cent is doing. He's keeping the same energy he had 20 years ago. You know what I mean? And you just gotta respect that. You have to respect that. Dudes hit him up 9 times, and it wasn't like 9 times to the leg. They hit him all in the mouth and everything. They was trying to get him gone. And when you live through a situation like that, and you knowing guys that you feel they not like that, but they running with the guys who are like that, and they knew the play, and they knew what it was about, and, they just was all for that. You know what I'm saying? It'll never be over. You know what I'm saying? So after Ja Rule said what he said, I think Ja Rule said he was ready to get on one, or he said something like he was ready to explode or go on, damn, I forgot what kind of time he said he was going to go on. Put it like this, it just said he was going to turn up. You know what I'm saying? He was ready to go basically on demon time. I forgot, he used a certain kind of word though. You know what I'm saying? He called it something else. Ja, we don't believe you murder. We don't believe you, bro. Like, let's just keep it a buck, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to stop acting like you don't know why that man ain't rocking with you, ain't gonna never rock with you, and that's just what it is, bro. If it's the other way around, we would be speaking the same way about you. You know what I'm saying? If you got hit up and 50's, next to the guys who did it, you know what I'm saying, and he hanging with the guys and, that did it, we would say Ja Rule got all the right in the world for it to be up with him, you know what I'm saying, with 50 Cent until either one of them are gone. You get what I'm saying? And, say if somebody around 50 Cent passed away or whatever, and you got on the internet and said something, about one of his people being in the pack, I be still making the same video. You know what I'm saying? So we just got to keep it real, man. You know what I mean? It ain't like it's made up far as who sent that at 50 Cent, you know what I'm saying? And who did it, I think even somebody testified in court, in one of Supreme's case basically saying, look, man, I was in the car with them guys who did it, or with the guy who did it. You know what I'm saying? And also, I think, you know, the blue and yellow jackets, I think even in their reports or whatever, you know, they paperwork, I think they even said something about after 50 got hit up, Supreme sent the text message saying, yeah, we got him. So, listen, man, that was a serious beef. You know what I'm saying? Where somebody really trying. And y'all want to ask me, that's one of the realest beefs, if not the realest. Matter of fact, it is the realest. That shit was realer than that Tupac and Biggie shit. We all know that shit wasn't real. That's just something that got out of hand because the media spent it a certain kind of way. You know what I'm saying? To try to make it seem like it was some East Coast, West Coast shit, but really, you know, Pac got caught up in some shit with some real dudes from New York, and they wasn't playing. You know what I'm saying? They wasn't playing. But when Pac survived that, you know what I'm saying? He only did what most people would do. Anybody that was in that building who I laid eyes on or who I talked to that didn't come to my defense or didn't come to my help or my aid or whatever, I probably wouldn't have nothing to say to y'all guys neither. You know what I'm saying? But Pac got into it with some real dudes from NYC, and they wasn't playing with him. Simple and plain. And that spilled off to him going to another side of the map and getting with some guys over there, and he started riding with them, and, you know, Pac ended up losing his life in Vegas in 96, you know what I'm saying, after the Mike Tyson fight. We all know that story. Biggie, I still say to this day, Biggie should have never lost his life to that situation. He should have never lost his life. There was no need for them to go out west, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, Diddy, you know what I'm saying, being on his little, you know, his tip where, you know, he got to, you know, do certain things and get his money, basically, you know what I mean? And I'm not sure, if I'm not mistaken, I think Biggie was probably on his way out the door too. So, you know, he trying to milk whatever else he can milk out the situation. And that wasn't a good idea, man, having Biggie go out there. And if I'm mistaken too, at the time, Biggie's leg was broke or hip was broke or something like that from him and Lil C's getting in the car wreck. So, you know, that Tupac Biggie situation, that really was just some dissing that could have stayed on wax, but it played out a different way. And once Pac lost his life, even though it didn't have nothing to do with the Biggie Small situation, you know what I'm saying, in the Bad Boy or the East Coast situation, dudes was mad about that. You know what I'm saying? They just were. They was mad about that. Just due to the fact that the guys who alleged, you know what I'm saying, did what they did to Pac. Puffy had ties to them guys. You know what I'm saying? So I look at that beef as it was real, it was serious, especially for doing them times because it wasn't no social media. Everything was, you know, through the grapevine or in the media, you know what I'm saying? I had them Vibe magazines. I had them Source magazines, you know what I'm saying? I had them Word Ups, you know? All the real ones, though, had the posters coming up, throwing them joints on the wall. Y'all already know what time it is, bro. And if you wasn't the real one, if you ain't had that little Kim poster on the wall, that hardcore picture on the wall, you feel me? Had that one, you know what I mean? But yeah. But when 50 came around, you knew that shit was real. You knew that was real because the characters, you know what I'm saying? The people that was in it, you know what I'm saying? Far as on the street side, you know what I'm saying? And this wasn't like this was some out of town beef or nothing, bro. This is in the same section, you know what I'm saying? Same section, same city, you know what I mean? Just in different neighborhoods throughout that city, you feel me? And everybody know who Preem was, you know what I'm saying? Everybody know who Preem was. True enough, Preem got bigger for 50 Cent even mention him, you know what I'm saying? Because, you know, elsewhere, a lot of people didn't know unless you was tapped into that type of world, you know what I'm saying, into the underworld. People didn't know who Supreme was, but, you know, if you was tapped into that underworld, and luckily, you know, I had family and, you know, big brothers, too, that would, you know, will put me up on game. Like, bro, you rapping these songs, do you know who you talking about? You know who he talking, you know what I'm saying? So they will put me up on game or whatever. But we gotta feel 50 on how he feel about that situation, man. Because if you look at all the other little rap beats he was having, it was never really a problem, you know what I'm saying? And you gotta realize too, A lot of his beefs came from with other guys in New York, or just, or even other places. The minute you jumped in them videos or did them songs with, Ja, Irvin, just associated with them dudes. And you gotta realize at that time he was a young dude. He wasn't the 50 Cent we know now. He was a young dude who just started touching them M's. You know what I'm saying? The streets was still right there. You know what I'm saying? He hasn't been out the streets that long. You know what I'm saying? Shit, if you ask me, he was still dibbling and dabbling until he seen that, listen. Yeah, that until he realized, oh, look, my bag getting too big, man. This music thing that took off. I ain't gotta really, I ain't gotta be in the streets no more or whatever, man. I got the sack now. You feel me? And you gotta have that paper to play. You know what I'm saying? That paper to go to war. And he ran that bag up, and it was, it's whatever. But it just goes to show you, man. He still got that same fire in him, bro. When he first started, man, he not switching up. That shit gonna go on until them niggas is very, very old men. You know what I'm saying? Walking with, canes or whatever, man. 50 Cent probably see Ja Rule walking with a cane, man. Kick his cane, make him fall, man. You know how that go, man. It's 50, man. But it's just real, man. I mess with it because he keeping that shit real. I wouldn't want to see it. Even the youngsters that didn't even grow up in that time, they feel them. You know what I'm saying? They like to see it. So it's just like at this point, you can't mention them dudes' names. You know what I'm saying, to each other, because neither one of them gonna never have anything good to say about each other. Never. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. You know how Ja Rule did get on Twitter, fire back some tweets and stuff like that. He tried to call 50 a rat or whatever, man. And it's never been, 50 never, that's been debunked so many times, bro. You know what I'm saying? People only seem to call 50 a rat when they mad or when they on the wrong side of the beef. You know what I'm saying? They asked him plenty of times, bro. You know who shot you? And he ain't never give nobody up. Period. So you know how that go, man. I don't even think 50 would have blew as big if he did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think he would have took off like how big he would. He would have still popped off and got, you know what I'm saying, been that nigga, but he wouldn't have got as big because that allegation, and then coming from where he coming from, which is the streets, back then, niggas stood on that telling shit, you know what I'm saying, back then, you know what I'm saying? So if he really told or gave up some information on them guys, man, you know, it would have been a strike against him, and he would have been explaining himself all these years. And you see him, and he spoke on that in the beginning and was like, man, for what? For what? I ain't had no reason to tell on them niggas, bro. I lived through that, got rich, got richer than they ever been, touched more paper than they ever been, man. You feel me? Driving the flyest car, living in the biggest cribs. Ain't no need for me to tell them. I'm killing them with the success. You know what I'm saying? And like I said, dudes came to court and told on Preem and them. They did the job, What they want to talk about, that song that he made, that was like him kind of like bigging up the niggas in the city where he from that was in them streets. You know what I'm saying? The Holy Quran song type shit. But, man, I just wanted to drop something real quick, man. Touching on the 50 Cent shit, man. Ja, we fuck with you. You had a bunch of number one hits, man. You and Ashanti was going crazy over that Murder Inc., man. 50 came out, he survived them 9 shots, man, and he came straight for your juggler, man, and y'all ain't know what to do, especially with them Dre beats behind him. Then with the lyrical genius Eminem over there going, you know what I'm saying? So he had the right machine and team behind him, and it took some dudes from out of the city to fuck with him. You know what I'm saying? Because y'all gotta realize, Irvin them and Murder Inc. them, that was the biggest shit coming out of New York, bro. The biggest shit coming out of New York at that time. So a lot of dudes from New York didn't want to, feel me? Like, they liked them from a distance. You know what I'm saying? So 50 had something in his heart, but back then, like, all right, niggas ain't fucking with me. You know what I'm saying? When I get on, I'm on everybody's ass, and he did what he did. You know what I'm saying? He got on everybody ass. Anybody who got on the song with him, stood next to them niggas, he got on their ass. And, that's just hip hop for you, being competitive, but also, it was a little realer than that for Fifth when it comes to Ja and Irv Gotti, man.